Okay, it is 2 o'clock on this Tuesday. Oh, well, that was going to be a great intro. I've been working on it for the last 3 weeks, since the last meeting. In the mirror and everything, you know. Okay, great. We'll call to order this planning commission meeting on Tuesday, December 3rd at 2 p.m. And now we are going. So we're called to order. Steph, are we recording? Are we good?
We're good.
We'll do roll call.
Commissioner Byers?
Here.
Commissioner Hall?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Hey, Rick, can you hear us?
You can't, okay, just connected.
Hey, Rick, can you hear us?
All right.
Good deal.
Also present is Commissioner Baugh via Zoom. Also present is Stephanie, Alex, and Britta for the Community Development Department. You do have a quorum.
Great. Sounds great. At this time, we'll ask for any declarations of conflict of interest.
I have none.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the certification of compliance with Resolution 2024-01.
I do certify that the meeting and properties were posted in accordance with Resolution 2024-01 and in compliance with Section 5440 of the Municipal Code.
Great. Thanks, Stephanie. Next one, approval of agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024.
Second.
I got a motion and
Oh,
a
wait,
second.
I'm sorry, wrong. There was one thing I noticed,
We're on agenda, then meeting
oh,
minutes.
sorry,
Nope, you're all good. Agenda,
Right.
do you still second the approval of agenda?
of agenda, yes,
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
sorry.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh? Aye. Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. We have an agenda. Let's go to approval of minutes.
Chairman Rigsby, with that, there was a finding in the minutes located on page 3 of the roll was published, not recording the actual votes. So a modification was made this morning and updated in the printed packets that you guys are receiving and also for the printed copy. So just so you guys are aware, what I sent out was modified this morning.
Okay. And you're referring to page 5 in the overall package, but
Yes.
page 3 in the minutes, where it is the roll call vote. Yeah. Great. Other changes or clarifications?
Yes, the roll call vote, is that what we're talking about on page 5?
Yes.
Overall,
That's what she
Yeah.
it should be all nays, not ayes.
1 aye and 4 nays.
Esther nays, yeah, okay,
Yes,
Yep.
because it's not,
that was corrected.
Well-
Sorry, we did have a modification to our systems and now we're running off of a different drive. And it was giving Britta the most tremendous headache trying to save and everything just kept crashing. So that was an oversight that was not caught, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Other changes?
You need a motion?
I think I would need a motion to approve meeting minutes as passed out, as we have it in front of us, if there are no other changes.
I make a motion, we accept the approval of the minutes as presented in the packet on our desks.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh? Aye. Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner McLean? I'm sorry, Commissioner Richardson?
Abstained, I wasn't present. Sorry.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
aye.
Motion carries.
Cool. All right, let's move to our next section, public input. This section is for those that would like to speak or present anything to this board that is not currently on the agenda today. I don't think we have anybody else online. And then, Mr. Montez, I think you're here for the presentation. Any?
Actually, a neighbor. I'm within the buffer zone.
Okay, sounds good. So you're going to comment on 6. Fair enough. Sounds good. So seeing that there's no one else for public comment, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And we'll move on to our quasi-judicial public hearing. Alex, this one that we have, variance PV 2024-315. What can you tell us about this?
This is a request to encroach 8 feet into the 20-foot front yard setback. This would be the reconstruction of a home that was lost during the South Fork fire.
Thank you. And Mr. Montez, I think you're here on behalf of the,
No, I'm Milliken, I'm 945.
sorry, I was pointing to Ray behind you. How are you? Do you mind just raising your hand, stating your name, and say you'll tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Ray Montes, tell nothing but the truth.
Thank you, Ray. Tell us a little bit about this request.
As the gentleman stated, the house was lost during the fire. It was an 1,150 square foot home. It was built in 1969. I do have some photos if you haven't researched it. It was basically the steps going up from the road, we're literally at the roadway. Then they wanted to rebuild. The new build is going to be 1,380 square feet. With the setbacks, they own the whole mountain behind them with the setbacks. The previous house was 24 feet wide. The new build will be 30 foot wide, but with the setbacks, I've already taken out about 10 feet back, and the rest is all straight up mountain, basically. So they're wanting to rebuild. They do want to rebuild it as a 2-story. That way, as to not have any roadside parking at all. They'll have a drive-through garage because they have an in and out from both properties with driveways. That'll keep the vehicles off Main Road, which I know is a big thing with that kind of road up there. They're going to construct a play area and stuff on the backside to keep kids and everybody off the road. They will put retainage on the front for anything going on to Main Road. So.
Okay.
If you had any other questions or input that.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have a couple of questions. At this point in time, we'll hear from the village and their assessment from the staff.
The staff findings and recommendations are the previous home on the property was lost during the 2024 South Fork fire, and the applicant is actively seeking to rebuild the home. The proposed structure will be less than what the original structure was on the encroachment to the front line. It was determined that there is a portion of hillside towards the rear of the property, preventing the ability to move the structure any further back to meet the compliance of the code. The previous home was built almost directly to the property line, as you can see in the Google pre-fire images, along with the original survey that was supplied by Mr. Montez on behalf of the applicant. Due to the fire, we were unable to list any pre-established setbacks as the homes in that area were destroyed. And staff does find that there aren't poses of vehicular or pedestrian traffic, and would ask that the Planning Commission place the conditions listed in the case report and approve the request.
Okay. Thank you, Stephanie. All right. At this time, we'll open it up for comments from neighbors, and then we'll bring you back up here, Mr. Montez, for questions from the commission. So, sir.
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I lost my place too, so
Okay.
it's kind of a tough little corner there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry for the home that you lost, and yeah, we'll actually have you come get on record just because you did speak. You know, paperwork, we got to get that done. So if you don't mind just raising your hand, stating your name.
I'm Cole Milliken. I promise to tell the truth.
Thanks, Mr. Milliken. Yeah, and feel free to.
No, I'm on 945, just around the corner. We're all basically on the shale slip, and it's bedrocks right there. So I'm not surprised they can't go any further back, but, you know, the old place kind of just sat right on the road. And I don't think there was any issue there, but
Yeah.
that's,
Okay, thank you for your comment. I appreciate it. Cool. Seeing no one else to comment, we'll go ahead and close public hearing for this item. And Mr. Montez will bring you back up for questions from the group.
And Chairman Rigsby, just as a recap, 15 letters were mailed, 0 were returned as insufficient, and I did receive no written comments.
Okay. I guess they would go to the mailing address on file for all the, because there's really no neighbors within 200
Yeah,
feet because there's no homes.
Well, there are, they still remain property owners. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 listed within New Mexico,
Okay,
and then the rest were all in Texas, and 1 in Arizona.
okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, now's your time to ask Mr. Montez any questions that you might have on this variance request.
Can I ask, what was the previous setback on that home? I mean, the stairs I see, but that's allowed, so are driveways.
The house was probably setting about, the deck, I should say, excuse me.
No, the
deck was
house
prob-
itself, unless it was a
The
covered
deck was
deck.
probably, the house was probably about 10 feet, I think 9'6", the previous home, the corner, the closest corner.
And you said you did your due diligence, try to excavate as much as possible.
Taking out 40 loads, 40 12-yard.
How deep was that back into the mountain?
Right now, I'm at 12 feet.
Are you? Okay.
Yes, sir. And there'll be an engineered stem wall in the back.
Yes, sir.
These photos that we have in our packet, I don't know if you've seen them, this is after you've excavated, I
Yes.
assume? Yeah, okay.
Yes. We did the asbestos test, got the permit, et cetera, got everything taken off, cleaned up.
And just, my understanding is that you're saying that the new house would actually set a little further back as far as the front of it
Then the previous? Yes, sir.
than the previous?
Yes, sir.
We've gained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And there's no required easements or setbacks on either side?
They have a, no,
There
there's
is an
a
easement.
already
Yeah, sorry, not
easement to a driveway that's previous already. But there'll be no other,
So my question more for the staff is, it's an easement, the owner doesn't have control over it, so is that not the property line, and should there not be at least a 10-foot setback from that?
Not from an easement, no.
Okay,
And typically, when an easement is granted, that one specifies it's 15 feet. The actual driveway location doesn't withstand the majority of those. That's just the designation within the plot. At any time with the rebuilds of that property, it could be dissolved as it may no longer be needed to retain entrance to their property, as they may now be able to rebuild
on
and
a
suit
different,
that.
okay. Okay, just curious, because I couldn't find that, in the code either.
Yeah, they just can't build in an easement.
I guess the question I would have is on the depiction of the building that you have on the plat. Is that including the deck? The deck's gonna get no closer than 12 feet to the road?
Correct, sir.
That's, so you have the deck and then, okay,
correct.
okay.
How wide is your deck?
It is 8 feet. We're probably gonna shrink it down probably to 5.5 as to, depending on the easement, I'll just shrink it down as to not encroach. That's not to squeeze against the mountain, to have a little bit of retainage on the backside.
And you say it's an open deck, so there's no roof extending over it?
Correct.
The retaining wall in the front, are you going to be tearing that up and rebuilding this rock one? It's over here on this corner?
Yes, it's all cracked and, yeah, it's not safe, so we're gonna do all of that, yes.
Gotcha. Do you have any idea about how this retaining wall, how close to the road it would be?
It's gonna probably set about 5 foot further back than the existing one,
Okay,
yes, because it'll be for the driveway going out the other side, yes.
gotcha.
They had that all the way on the back side, and I've already removed all of that.
Okay.
All right, now my biggest question here, there's a note on here that this denotes on the plat that this is in a flood zone as depicted by FEMA.
This is not in a flood zone.
This is not,
Where did it say that?
so the note's an error on the plat?
No, flood zone X means that it's not an active flood zone. X is a type of flood, but it's not, it's just like the base. Everybody's an X unless they are categorized as an A or an AE or a floodway. And there's other ones, but they're just not prevalent in our region.
Okay.
This isn't one of the panels that we talked about last time either, right?
This is referencing, not even a correct panel date. This shows November 16th of 2011. The village references panels from November 14th of
Gotcha.
2014. So the surveyor does need to,
But of the panels that we specified, that we recommended to council to specify, and I think they're voting on it this month, this is not in one of
this
those.
was, yeah, those panels were already adopted, and that's what we use. So I'm not sure why the surveyor has reverted to a different panel date, because previous submissions were of the actual
14.
usage, so, yeah. But I did verify on the flood maps that they are outside of that, just so he would know, as we are on hold for building permits.
So they're outside of the 2014 maps?
They are.
Okay.
And they're not located within a district for the proposed expansions either.
Okay.
They would be outside of that.
Okay. That's good.
Be a big flood if it went up to this.
Yeah,
No kidding.
We'd have bigger issues, I think.
If the river changes.
we'd need an audit if that was the case.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioners, other questions for Mr. Montez?
No, that clarified it for me. I mean,
I think we're good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Based upon the foregoing findings, fact 54-92, 54-66 of the Village Code, I move to grant the requested variance for case PV 2024-315 with the conditions stating in the case report.
second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the motion?
No, sir.
Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Baugh? Aye. Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Nay,
Nay.
nay.
That is 5 positive, 1 negative. Motion does carry.
Right.
Appreciate
you,
you
sir.
folks very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Y'all have a good holiday.
Thank you, you too.
Just because of last meeting.
Last meeting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. Stephanie, do you need Commissioner Williams' reasoning or because it didn't?
No, because it passed.
All right, then we'll move on. We'll move to new business, discussion and possible action, 2025 calendar year meeting dates, setting meeting dates of public meetings for the Planning Commission for the year 2025, according to the Open Meetings Act. What we got going here?
So this is our resolution that gets passed every year. We do bring it forth in December so we can set forth our January meeting dates. You'll see in the resolution all of the first Tuesdays of every month at 2 o'clock. If those dates or times are not what we wish to move forward into 2025 with, now is the time to make those changes. On the second page, be page 20 of your packet, it does give an itemized list of how the breakouts go, our meeting dates, when we have cutoff times for applications to be submitted, when I'm required to have everything to the newspaper, and also the 15-day notices and packets. So just kind of give y'all a rundown on how it runs. and gets forward to you guys.
Okay. Looks good to me. I don't see any major issues. Commission?
No,
That's good. Like we've been doing.
Yeah.
March is my birthday, so.
Well, we can celebrate your
Cupcakes for
birthday
you.
then. We'll bring you cookies.
Cupcakes for you,
Cupcakes.
buddy. None for me, but we'll get plenty for you.
Yeah, I might not be here in January, so somebody might need to fill in. So I haven't talked to you guys about this. We're supposed to have a little girl in January 3rd. My wife and I.
Golly, wow, good for you.
You didn't get our permission?
I didn't come for the variance or the conditional
That
use
date
or
doesn't
anything
work
like
for us.
that.
You're gonna have to try again.
So somebody else will have to step in on the 7th, but I'll probably be back.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yes. So
Better you than me.
we do, we're waiting until the baby comes, until we share their name, yeah. My mom being a school teacher, she always is like, oh, I had a so-and-so, they were awful. So we're waiting until, wait until the kid is, here.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, back on track so we can maybe get out of here in record time. Any comments, or are we good to accept the resolution? I think I need a motion for the resolution.
I make a motion, we accept the resolution for declaring the 2025 meeting dates as presented on pages 19 and 20.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Bowe? Aye. Commissioner Byers?
Aye.
Commissioner Hall?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson?
Aye.
Commissioner Rigsby?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Awesome. All right. Next item we have is community development report, I believe.
Just want to touch upon very quickly the short-term rentals. Lodger's tax is beginning to inch back up to levels where we were before the events of this summer. We also are still working on getting a new ordinance and a new system. We are having on the next Tuesday at the council meeting, there will be a presentation from the folks from Rentalscape. Those are the people that we're hoping to be going forward with for the new system on how to manage the short-term rental program. And then we will get the subcommittee together again. After that point in time, we'll see if we can still squeeze something before the holidays, before the Christmas break, before we do that. And then probably February is when we would be at the earliest going forward to council for an amendment to the ordinance.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Which means we bring it to January here, you're not here, and you're on the subcommittee.
This was planned, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to the short-term rentals, we are also coming forth in front of council with the Chapter 54 revisions and getting that set for public hearing and adoption, hopefully on the January council meeting. So we are moving forward on that.
Okay.
And then hopefully by February, if everything's looking good, any cases and all of that will start to reflect the new verbiage. So kind of be prepared for that. You'll see some changes, some things that we probably forgot since there's been such a span of time. So we'll make sure that we keep you guys up to date on referencing to the new applicable codes.
Cool.
In addition, there was an email sent out, and I have been requested a few times before this meeting now, to follow up. We have the boards and commissions mixer where we have the appetizers and stuff, and little thank you for your contributions to the community. That'll be held Wednesday, December 11th at 5:30 at the convention center. And I am needing an RSVP. So,
Right now on the record?
if you have the availability to give it to me now, that would be great. I can shoot an email. If you need, time, I do need to know no later than Thursday.
You need a, can we
If
give
you
you a
guys wanna
verbal?
make a commitment now, that's cool. If you guys wanna wait and shoot me an email, you can do that too.
I'll shoot
Just
you
know
an
you
email.
are on the record.
I might be out of town next week.
Okay,
So-
Be there
so no for Jacob?
too.
TBD.
Okay.
Gonna be there, Vicky?
I'll know by
Two
tomorrow.
just in case.
Yeah, two would be my wife and I.
You gotta be present, man.
Bill,
Yeah, I'll be there, assuming my land rack committee gets over.
do you have a +1 or
No,
just the one?
No. Plus
I'll be
one.
there.
+1 or just you?
Just me.
Vicky?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah?
At a +1.
Plus one?
Gary. Of course, he's probably already giving an RSVP.
It's 5 or 5:30?
It'll be
5:30.
5:30. And I'll send you out reminder emails.
Thank you.
Josh?
+1.
And Rick, how about you?
God.
Okay. Do you want me to place a placeholder or follow up with you no later than Thursday? Yes, please. Okay, follow up. Okey dokey, got you on my list.
Thank you. Couple of maybe updates, since we have a little bit of time. What can you tell us about the Rock House and the placement of those homes?
There was an update that was given by Mr. Martinez at the council workshop this morning. We are hopeful to have all the homes on site by next week. The contractors ran into a bit of a delay in regard to the ability to get concrete this late in the year, but they are hopeful to find some concrete so that they can have the foundations and the like ready for those homes to be placed. And then utility installation is continuing on at the site. So I think we are still on target for the end of January to have things ready there.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I think it's been a year now nearly. When did we first get it?
Yeah, supposed to been done.
I
May?
guess that's one of the things that, either as the village or whatever, I mean, I know this was, the only reason we got these grants extended was because of the fires.
Yeah.
I mean, if we do these things or have these things in the future, there's no way, and the number of us said that early on, there's no way you're gonna get that done in 6 months.
Right.
There's just no way. Now, village and council, they need to start understanding that, otherwise they're gonna put the village on the hook for a whole bunch of money.
We ran into this on the trailer park as well, remember? That was a far-fetched idea.
Yeah, that was a good intention, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, the logistics of actually doing that, you're not gonna do it in 6 months.
Yeah.
No.
It just wasn't gonna happen, I mean, and like I said, I just raised that as, you need to be aware of that going forward, because otherwise, like I said, you get the village committed to stuff that you don't, not that you don't wanna do the project, but you ain't gonna get the money.
Got to foot the bill on your own at that point, yeah. Alex is, I don't know if this question you can answer, but it's been 5.5 months since the fires and floods, and we've still got lots of piles of mud everywhere, especially down by the chamber, from Two Rivers Park all the way down through there. Do we have a time frame on cleanup?
That was another question that came up from the council today as well. And so there are clear responsibilities for the operation that's being overseen by the state for them to do cleanup, clear responsibilities for the portion that the county is doing, and then there's a gray area, and it sounds like the properties that you brought up may be following into that. That's something Mr. Martinez is working through to figure out who is responsible, and to get some action going on that.
Yeah. I get a lot of questions from customers coming in and more statements saying, well, we expected the town to be totally gone away, but we did see some flooding down there and there's mud, and we were expecting more devastation, but it seems just with those piles of mud, we're still giving them some hope that there is some devastation to look at. And I would much rather, dash their hopes and them see a very nice village that we are used to and not piles of mud, especially right alongside of Sutter's. It's kind of unsightly, you know.
Those are organic street berries.
You know, you are correct. But, you know, as someone who loves this village, I would like to see it back like it was. I mean, I know for a fact at your house, if you had piles of mud sitting in your driveway for 6 months, someone would have made you move it by now. Mm-hmm, yeah. So, no.
I got piles of limbs and pine needles, does that count?
Let me make a call over to your house and see if we can get that taken care of.
Curious what the status of the apartment development by,
1114 Meacham.
yeah.
He did get on capital projects last week. They are moving forward with working on engineers and getting all of those, different little snags worked out. And I think he was looking at breaking ground, did he say March, May?
The update, so they are actually, they have, I believe, officially had something that qualifies as a groundbreaking because they're the financing that they had to have something done by the middle part of last month. So they have satisfied that. They are looking to close on the property. I'm not sure if it was that, but might have been. They're looking to actually close on the property by the end of next month to move forward with that. So we should be seeing some progress over there soon.
Does any of that come back before us, or is it going to go before permitting now?
So after we reapprove their site plan modifications, as long as there hasn't been any other changes, it just goes into the building permit phase. All of that will be handled by the state of New Mexico. As we own the property, we can't permit them.
Got it.
Oh, that's interesting.
We own the property?
Yes, the 1114 property is our, or 1104, I'm sorry, is ours. They did get an RFP to build and operate the location, but the ownership of the land, it remains to the village.
So,
Still curious what they're going to do about the water,
yes.
the little creek that runs through it.
How's that agreement, though? I mean, how's the agreement between that company and the village as far as co-owner, as them owning the building, I guess, and us owning the property?
There was an RFP process for qualified grantees. So they're part of a company that meets qualifications on doing developmental things. I don't know a whole lot of the background on that, but it is a very common process throughout the United States.
They pay property tax to the village, I guess, for the structure?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Probably the
I
county,
don't know how that would work. I mean,
probably the county, you probably get like a little bit of that.
well, yeah, I'm still, I mean,
That's it.
is the village out on paying property tax on the dirt, and it would all revert to the property man?
So typically in a situation like that, what happens is there would be an agreement for a pilot, it's called a pilot agreement, payment in lieu of taxes.
Okay.
With that, I'll check to see if something like that is in the works.
Oh, I was just curious. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the tax assessment will go up quite a bit more once the building's.
You betcha. Yes, sir. And rightfully so. We need it, especially with these properties that could be bought out through this other program. Those will fall off the tax rolls.
Yeah, I know that that's a federal program, but do you have any update on movement on the presentation that was presented to the community a couple weeks ago about property buyouts for
That
flooding?
was awesome.
I don't have anything more to say on that. That is a county program. I did watch the virtual Zoom on that. Seems like where the county is with that is they are getting interest in people participating in that program. I think they're also very eagerly awaiting the start of the legislative session so they can make their formal request for the state to participate in the cost of that.
The village hasn't been flagged as a sponsoring entity, though,
No.
to your
No.
knowledge?
No, the
No.
county is the sponsor of the program.
Gotcha, cool.
But they have talked about agreements if there's property within the village. I don't know, Michael would know where that is. He'd be involved with that. As far as if there's an opportunity there for the village to acquire it, but that would be between the village and the county, as far as that goes. There, you can ask him. He's there.
We've said his name about half a
Said his
dozen
name half a dozen times. Like Beelzebub.
Michael, were you privy to any of the conversation before you walked in? I am not. Okay, so they had some questions about the village's stance in the buyout programs that were presented at the college a few weeks ago with the county. They kind of just wanted to know what the village had any interest in moving forward, and then also if you had any information on the 1104 Meacham, how we own the property and Mesa Apartments is doing the building. They had questions on property taxes and stuff like that.
So specifically on the buyout programs, the village doesn't have a position at all on the buyout programs. The only thing we're waiting for is to see if any buyout programs actually come to fruition. So there's technically two buyout programs. The first buyout program is through NRCS. NRCS, the buyout program that they have available first says that you have to qualify or not qualify technically for the current classic NRCS project. What that is a diversion project. So let's say you're in the floodway or floodplain and they come in and say, you know what, we really can protect your property by not increasing rise in the floodplain. It would mean making something up here, but it could be we put in 25 HESCO baskets with trash racks and filtration systems right in front of your property. That won't cause rise because there's blowout walls, for example, that are on your property. That's how we'll divert water. Now, if someone comes in and says, nope, we can't put those in because there's no diversion property, we will buy out your property, and they take an evaluation of what that is. The program itself is not funded, neither at the state nor the federal level. And so what that basically means is the meeting that was held was more of an interest-seeking meeting to see who might be interested in qualifying or possibly qualifying for that program. As part of that program, the village, county, and would have to seek funds to be able to match it. So they're usually 75-25% programs from the buyout programming. And so we're estimating just general numbers. Let's say there's 72 homes just in the floodway alone. Of those, we think that probably a portion of those, under 50%, are impacted where they can't build back anymore. Average of 400,000, which is a very low number for those areas. But it was just, hey, if it's 400,000, shot in the dark, how much money are we actually looking at? And when you multiply a lot of that out, you're looking at close to basically $22-30 million. And when you say who's coming up with the 25% of that, there's no way we can turn around and say from a budget perspective out of general fund, we can pull that portion of funds. So we would have to request that portion from the state. And again, the federal program would have to be funded at the federal level. And right now, that's not happening. So that's option one. Option two is the FEMA buyout program. That is also a 25-75% program. Usually, that program does not come about till 2 to 3 years after the initial disaster. And the main reason behind that is they want to make sure that all flood maps are updated. They want to see any type of damages that have been reoccurring or by cascading events. So they want to see damages. If those houses have been redamaged 2 or 3 times, if they can't rebuild, if you have properties that have been abandoned or that are just now nuisance properties. And so once those are done, and I forgot a piece of the other program, but in the FEMA case, they usually take post-disaster value, not pre-disaster. So if you have a house that was worth $500,000 sitting in the floodway, pre-disaster, post-disaster, with the flooding, the damages, they don't take the fact that the property was completely destroyed out, but they do say, hey, there was significant damage done, so we may give you X, and that's how they come up with those numbers. On the part I forgot on the NRCS program, there is a discussion that has to happen. Is it pre-fire values or post-fire values? There is a discussion on the sponsor on what they will come up with on who that is. And in that case, it would be the county. And they would determine pre or post. I can't speak for the elected body, but what I can say is that in most discussions that I've been in, the discussion has always been, how do we make our residents whole? And so, or as whole as possible. And so I believe that if a program like that came about and people did qualify, the likelihood that the value that would be determined would be pre-values is fairly high. So those are the two discussions on buyouts. Any questions on those?
No. Thank you, sir.
Yep. And then the second question was related to,
I know you weren't here during that time, but we, they had questions on the 1104 Meacham, with the 72 apartments.
yes.
How we own the property and went through them to build it. They had questions on revenue and property taxes.
So the way the system is set up is that there is, and we're actually going to be having a meeting with the developer Friday, I believe. And we'll be getting some more information on groundbreaking and when all of that will start moving forward. They've been delayed a little bit just because of some utility issues that they're facing, but that should be fixed quickly. But basically, the way the program is structured, because the land is owned by the village, they're doing a lease. And so the lease component, the items on top of the land cannot be taxed because it's government land, but the actual structure can be taxed. And so they will, in fact, be paying a portion of those revenues back to the entity. So.
And how, do you know lease, you don't know lease terms or anything like?
I don't have that information in front of me, but we can get that pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Excuse me one second, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. Those were the two
I
primary
think those
questions.
were the two questions, because the other one Josh brought up about the removal is, yeah, Alex covered that.
Cool.
Cool.
Anything
So-
else?
So whose idea is it, and I know we, as commissioners, we've all been asked about this by someone through town sooner or later. When it all started, I mean, as far back as like the addressing. And then it went to the flood maps, and then we went to this buyout thing. Whose call is it to have the village post everything on Facebook without an explanation and start a humongous brouhaha around town before there's a real explanation to the village people?
I guess I'm confused. What are we talking? That was a lot of topics.
Okay, so,
Sorry,
you know, like,
addressing?
for us, I guess the overall thing is, who makes the call to start putting information out on Facebook without an explanation?
Do you have an example?
Yes, I do. So, like the flood maps. Remember when the flood maps came out? There was really not a whole lot of explanation on Facebook. It was like, here's these flood maps. And then this whole thing started. The buyout, this whole government, it immediately spawned off into this government land grab because we have all these conspiracy theorists around town. Who makes the call to say, let's just throw this stuff out on Facebook and not really have a full explanation, just like what Michael just laid it out in very layman's terms so we could all understand it? That wasn't on Facebook. That was, all of a sudden, we're going to
Well,
start.
With the flood maps, there was an explanation on how they were revising and looking forward to the adoption.
Yeah.
And it had a link. It didn't have actual pictures. A lot of the confusion I saw come through and people bringing forward were people that were going to the link and screenshotting and making their own post.
Sure.
So they weren't actually using the original poster's information on exactly what it was, but the village Facebook site was detailed in the process of how we were going forward. The post that we shared about the county information was limited, not as informational as what Michael gave, because we weren't involved in that. It was something that was brought to our attention because people were getting mail-ins and talked to about that from the county. I do know executive went through, found some appropriate contacts, received some of the media, and then that's when they gave it out to give to our community members to attend that
Right.
informational meeting.
Okay.
But it's been kind of twisted and cut
Well, it
off and
has.
not necessarily showing the original postings is
Right.
what I'm witnessing coming through, and it kind
Yeah.
of sounds like that's what you're getting.
Yeah, from the village stuff, it's been spot on, whatever information is there. It's what I've seen on social media. Someone goes to that link, takes a screenshot, and that's when they start going, well, this is what's gonna happen with
Oh, I
no
know. Yeah.
context.
And they
I
haven't
have,
called.
I have
to
relatives that are conspiracy theorists, and we've talked about
But
it, so
I
it's
mean,
not
from
like
the
it's,
village itself, I mean, I know they didn't have much on the buyout other than
Yeah.
intended, but they did say it was an informational meeting. They're trying to
Yeah.
gather info.
just to keep, like, from Michael from pulling the rest of his hair out or something, you know, my God.
That has been something brought up quite a bit. I know into our office, we're getting calls as well. Unfortunately, we can't control dissemination of
No.
other
No, you
people's
can't, but I mean, that's
information.
what happens.
I could just advise you guys, make sure you're going to the village website and their Facebook pages, not somebody just screenshotting and going by their words, because if it's not a cut and paste, it's not necessarily, what was published, it's somebody's opinion.
Sure.
And then you touched
Delete your
on
Facebook.
addresses.
There you go.
You know,
Problem
I'll
solved.
look at it just to get on there and buy stuff. I'm not really, I don't believe anything.
And addresses, we are still moving forward. We are on hold, right now on hold for FEMA to get through all of the flood and fire claims and all of the good stuff that comes in with that. So, we're looking at an 18-month downtime on top of what we've already had. Once we get the release and availability to move forward, we can get into Suttereth, where we had, gotten held on that. Everybody is still ready to move forward. People are just piecemealing, getting smaller orders of the old stuff, which I know is an irritation on multiple levels, either changing or being ready and can't. But the community's been tremendous in not biting my head off on that and being supportive. And then we'll move into Meacham. After we secure those two main lines, we'll start moving into the side streets, where we actually are going to be experiencing, about 300 name changes, and that includes new names, identified driveways and stuff that now should be roads. And so it's going to get pretty heated, but life and
2 years from
safety
now,
is.
don't worry about it. I mean,
above
I'll be
all
dead.
our focus.
who knows what'll happen within 2 years?
Right?
So we are a few months into our 18-month sentence, but myself, Alex, and our consultant group, Datamark, we do meet twice a month, and I'm actively going through and getting data as clean as possible, so when we are able to be released into those, we're already ready. We can just start in with more community engagement, timelines, preparation, and rollout.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for the information. It was good to have a little bit of time as we wrap up the year. But I think at this point, we can transition to adjournment unless there's any other commissioners' comments.
Oh, I have a staff comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just, you're not here, I guess we can wait until February, but, I know we don't have any vacancies and new positions coming up. Do we need to have, in the beginning of our meetings, a new presentation for chair, or are you keeping it, or do you want to have another, vote?
Oh, good question.
Because typically, we just keep going. However, we did have one. I'm not sure if other people would like, how you guys kind of want to proceed. Is that something we should look at?
I'd like to make a motion that we keep Jacob
I
as chair.
second that, second.
I mean, we can only advise it if it's a vacancy, go that way, or if you guys want to have a vote in February when you're present, we can do that too. How would you guys like to move forward?
Stay the course.
No, it sounds like we're staying the course. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
As long as we make Ron the backup, since he's
Ron
not here.
is vice chair.
Perfect. He's
Yeah,
not
and
here, so
then
let's
even
continue
though
with
you don't
that.
have a
Deal him some
secretary,
misery.
that's hard.
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
Sounds good.
Right.
Well, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
What the difference is.
Second.
Got a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned.
Bye, Rick.
Just a minute.
Bye, Rick. Thank you.
What's the difference? Merry Christmas.
The one that was up here on College or whatever, and,
I mean.
his setback, as far as, we allowed him to encroach